I, Laraya. I will be the guest of leadership. If you want to learn something about startups, getting started, or how to basically just go for a change in whatever it is you're doing, why don't you watch this short interview? Hopefully, you'll pick up something useful. So have fun, everyone. Ang mga Pilipino, we're a very creative people. That's what I've seen. We have
Definitely.
fantastic ideas. But sadly, just because you have a good idea doesn't really translate to a good business.
Yes.
Diba? Especially nga, if you're going to ask, yung sinabi mo, mga angel investors, venture capitalists, when you ask other people for money, a good idea is not enough.
Mhm.
So what Ronin does is we help the startups fix their business model, fix their financials, so that they become...
This is LeaderSHIFT with JP Adena. And I'm so excited today. You know what? Because we're going to talk with Mr. Laraya.
Hi, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, kung nasan man kayo ngayon.
Yes, shout out sa mga kaibigan ko sa Hong Kong and shout out rin sa mga OFWs all around the world. Pero this is LeaderSHIFT. So, I want to know, Mr. Laraya, what industry or field are you a leader of?
Well, I guess over the years, medyo nag-change. Of course, financial literacy was one. But now I'm more active and more engaged sa startup ecosystem here in the Philippines.
Startup ecosystem. So, mga bagong businesses. Kasi para sa akin, medyo familiar ako sa mga VCs. Kung baga para mag-umpisa, kukuha ka ng mga ano. Is that what you mean when startup? Or
Yes, actually, my new company, of course, people still, thankfully, people still remember pesos and cents. But
yes.
now I have a company called Ronin. And what we do basically is we help startups, we fix their financials and help them get funding. Kasi wala namang startup na lalaki pag walang pondo eh. This year alone, we've helped startups raise over $1 million in funding for their ideas.
So, all you need is kasi minsan ang nangyayari, mayroon akong idea eh. Maganda sana to eh. Pwede sana to maging company kaso wala kang puhunan. Tapos medyo hindi mo alam kung paano mo ayusin yung pera mo. So, yun po yung role ng Ronin para sa mga interested.
Because ang mga Pilipino, we're a very creative people. That's what I've seen. We have
Definitely.
fantastic ideas. But sadly, just because you have a good idea doesn't really translate to a good business.
Yes.
Diba? Especially nga, if you're going to ask, yung sinabi mo, mga angel investors, venture capitalists, when you ask other people for money, a good idea is not enough. So what Ronin does is we help the startups fix their business model, fix their financials, so that they become attractive investments for, angel investors and venture capitalists.
You know, I started with financial education then since 2015. Pero para sa akin, bata pa ako sa larangan ng financial education. Pero what I understand is personal finance is a need before you actually make a business. Because what you do with your personal finances is more often what you will do with your businesses. Kumbaga pareho ka mag-handle ng pera sa sarili mo at yun din gagawin mo sa businesses. Ano usually po ang nagiging problema sa personal finances mo, which is basically the business finances din, kung bakit kinakailangan pa siya ng tulong. Kasi pwedeng sabihin ng tao, alam ko na yan, pasok, labas, yun lang naman ang business eh.
No, it's a couple of things. First, again, maybe, I'll have to slightly disagree lang konti. Kasi what I've seen is a lot of people who run good businesses don't know how to manage their personal finances.
I see.
You see people, they're successful business people, their business does well, but their personal debts go up, they're in credit card debt, they have bad financial habits kasi malakas kumita ng pera eh. Diba? So, hindi siya palagi nagtutugma. Conversely, I do know people who are good. They manage their budgets well, they take care, they're not in debt, they pay everything on time, all of those things. But when it comes to the funds kasi of a startup, ibang usapan eh. Unang-una, you're asking other people for money. Diba?
So, pera nila yung gagamitin mo.
Very, very few startups really pera lang ng founders, yung bang na pera lang ng founders ang ginagamit. And those that do, hindi talaga sila lumalaki. I'm sure narinig na natin yung term na unicorn. If your company becomes worth $1 billion. But how does it become $1 billion kung ang puhunan mo lang yung pera sa bulsa mo? You take a look at yung mga Facebook, Google, Uber, Grab. Lahat yan humingi ng pera sa ibang tao kaya sila lumaki. And that's a different skill set eh. Diba? Unang-una, marami nga sa mga magaling humawak ng sariling pera, ayaw umutang eh. Diba? Kasi parang, bakit ako utang? I will just make do with what I have. Kasi yun ang tinuturo natin, di ba? You don't live beyond your means. Ganito. Pero pag sa negosyo, you have to learn how to borrow money. Diba? Hindi naman talaga lahat yan pera mo lang eh. Either utang ka or you will sell part of your company, and that's a totally, again, different conversation when you're talking about finances. So it's a bit of a, hindi sila one-to-one correlation kung ganon. And that's why nga, yung Ronin, that's what we have to teach people because, you meet entrepreneurs, gusto nila pera lang nila, kaya ko to, ganito. Yes, totoo yan. Pero kaya mo na, pero hindi lalaki yan. Diba?
So if you want to scale up your business, this is the way to go, kumbaga. Yun yung ibig niyo sabihin, right?
Oh, no, you have to use other people's money. Diba? You have to learn how to use other people's money, not just your money, other people's money. Whether you borrow the money or you sell part of your company through equity, you need to use other people's money. So, yung magbibigay, pwedeng kaibigan, kamag-anak, kakilala, but still, it's other people's money.
Yes.
So, yun ang nagiging challenge
even
talaga.
the bank, di ba? When you take a loan, it's the bank's money but you get interest nga lang.
Oo nga. But yun nga, pag ano ka, tama yung sinabi mo kanina talaga, maraming ayaw umutang eh. To them, it's, kahit ako utang, di ba? Baka hindi ako makabayad. Tama naman talaga yung mga concern na ganun. Tama talaga yun. But pag hindi mo ginawa yun, babagal yung paglaki ng kumpanya.
Kasi meron kasi ibang tao na, alam niya, paggagawa ng sari-sari store, tapos okay na siya sa sari-sari store niya, parang sabi mo, alam mo, okay yung sari-sari store mo, pwede mo kang gumawa ng second branch. Parang gano'n. Siya naman, ayoko eh. Ayoko naman talagang lumaki.
Masaya na ako eh.
Masaya na ako dito eh. Okay na ako sa nakukuha ko eh, di ba? Hindi para sa'yo yun.
Oo. Wala problema. Because that's the thing, if you're happy with what you're doing and you're content, edi wag mo nang guluhin.
But if you want to go to the route na you want to go bigger, then this is the way to go. The VCs and the angel investors and the ISE. But I want to know if there's an itch that you scratched. Did you start a business, ask for a Ronin type company to help you with your company, or is it something na personal sa'yo because that's why you started this business? Is it a personal itch that you are trying to?
It was well, in a sense, it's an offshoot of financial literacy. Kasi nga,
natural way
before,
to go.
So I would teach people. Pero ngayon kasi nakikita mo, ang ganda ng idea mo, but yun nga, Pilipino, gusto palagi pag may negosyo, gusto ko mura. Kasi pag benta mo ng mura yung produkto, yung service mo, walang problema yun. But that also means, mabagal kang lumaki. Kasi baba ng margin mo eh. Diba? So, hindi, gusto ko libre na lang ito. Sige, libre, pero sino magbabayad ng kuryente? Diba? Sino magbabayad ng renta dun sa opisina mo, dun sa tindahan mo? And wala talaga silang mapuntahan talagang guidance eh. And to me, that was the gap that I saw na, hey, it's just teaching, the concepts are very similar, but it's a different crowd. Whereas before, you're teaching the man on the street, you're teaching, people. Here, you're teaching a more focused group, mga negosyante or entrepreneur. Especially ngayon, di ba, maraming mga bata, mga Pilipino, gusto gumawa ng app. Di ba? Gagawa ko ng app, gagawa ko ng online business. Okay, now is the time to do it. But you need capital. Diba? So, who's going to tell it? Tapos, magkano mo pre-presyohan yung app mo? Marami gusto sabihin, libre na lang. Tapos, maraming magda-download. Tama din naman yun. Sino magbabayad ng programmer mo para i-update ng i-update yan?
Hahanap ng programmer na co-founder.
Pero paano sila mabubuhay, di ba?
Walang pasok eh.
Walang pasok eh, di ba? So, yun yung nagiging challenge eh. Ang daming magagandang idea. But yun nga, yung finances, at end of the day, a business is about money. Di ba?
Basically.
Para mabuhay ang negosyo, dapat mas malaki pumapasok kaysa lumalabas. Yun ang pinakasimple.
But I'm curious sa start ninyo kasi sabi nyo, everybody knows pesos and cents and it helped me a lot. Yun lagi ang explainer video ko eh. Alam mo, pag may nagtatanong sa akin, paano ba to? Saglit lang pupunta lang ako sa YouTube, hanapin ko yung explainer video ng malamang sinabi na yan sa pesos and cents. Pero what you're saying is a natural progression from financial education to actually help people to start up their businesses. Parang gano'n, no? So the shift is that. The shift from financial education to the helping out to get VCs. I was wondering, what's the story of that shift? This is LeaderSHIFT, by the way. So I wanna ask about the shifts that you made to be in a position you are right now.
Well, in the same way naman, when I started Pesos and Cents back then, this was 2010, 2011, thereabouts. Wala pa masyado talagang nagpa-financial literacy. It was just in its early stages. I mean,
magka-pioneer kayo.
There were people ahead of me, of course. They're more famous. Sila, of course, sila Brother Bo Sanchez, sila, Randall Johnson. I mean, they were ahead of me. Nauna sila eh. But the space was still very much up in the air. Konti pa lang eh. And ngayon, ang dami na eh. And it also evolved. Dati, when I started, YouTube na yung pinaka-ano. And ngayon, you get financial literacy, honestly, on TikTok. Diba? Meron ng... And doon ko nakita that, it went in the direction that would no longer be ideal for me. Hindi ko kaya TikTok, hindi ko ma-appreciate TikTok, frankly speaking. So I looked around and saw that nasaan ngayon yung gap? Where would my skills, my knowledge be most, shall we say, appreciated, for lack of a better term? And doon ko nga nakita because startups, I started naman here 2017, 2018. Now, doon ko nakita that, you know what, there are a lot of people now, there are good ideas, but they're not getting funded. They're not getting funded. So, why are they not getting funded? Because the numbers don't make sense. Why don't they make sense? Kasi, you mentioned it earlier na parang, hindi, alam ko na yan, madali na yan, ganon. Diba? May attitude naman talaga na ganon sa pera eh. Nabasa ko na yan, ganito, ganon. And in personal finance, I guess that can work. O sige, magpasa ka sa Investopedia, magpasa ka dito, magpasa ka doon. You can get away with it, frankly speaking. But when you're trying to ask for 10 million pesos,
you have to give in the numbers.
Diba? Hindi ka pwede magpa-cute. Diba? Hindi pwedeng Investopedia lang yung basehan mo at hihingi ka ng 10 milyong piso. Diba? Or in many cases, $1 million. You see 20-something people asking for $1 million to fund their startup. $1 million, that's 50 million pesos, 52 million pesos. So, tapos they're saying, I want $1 million and I'll give you 10% of my company. So you're telling me right now your company's worth $10 million? Any produkto, wala ka pa?
Ano ka pa sa idea stage? Yeah.
Diba? O saan ang galing yun? Kasi nabasa ko na ganito, ganon. May magbibigay sa'yo na $1 million. But the idea was good. The idea was good, but the realities of corporate finance and investing and startup finance, ibang usapan yun eh. Kasi ako, let's say if I'm an investor, let's say I'm a venture capitalist or an angel investor, whatever you want, my job is to get the most of your company, your good idea, for the smallest amount of money. Diba? Yun yung Diba? Uy, maganda idea mo. I want to get as much of it as I can for the smallest amount of money. That's what makes me a good venture capitalist.
Yeah.
Ikaw naman, as the founder, as the entrepreneur, you are supposed to get the most amount of money for the smallest amount of your company. Diba?
Yes. Makes
To
sense.
preserve the value. Eh kung ni 1,000,000 hindi ka humawak ng ganun sa buong buhay mo, how can you tell me you will know what to do with $1,000,000? Eh, 1,000,000 piso, hindi ka pa nakakahawak. Were you ever trained to do so? Hindi. So, ano yung confidence ko ngayon na pag binigyan nga kita ng $1,000,000, eh alam mo kung ano gagawin mo sa $1,000,000? Will you know how to pay the taxes? Will you know how to file all the permits? So, that's the space that we saw. And it worked because we took one startup, we had a startup, so they had a good idea. When we started working with them, the value of their company was roughly less than 3 million pesos. So, pero sila, sama sila, not 3 million pesos. This was around 2019, late 2019, just before the pandemic. So, what did Ronin do? We fixed their financials, we fixed their pricing, we created their financial infrastructure. So what happened? Just this past April this year, nag-pitch sila to a foreign fund, to a foreign investor. And now that company that 3 years ago was worth 3 million pesos is now worth about 78 million pesos.
Wow.
By the way, they're not yet operating.
It's just a startup pa lang. Starting pa lang talaga.
Startup pa rin lang talaga. And they received about close to 20 million pesos in cash. So, may pera eh. Kung may sense yung numero. And that's what Ronin helped them accomplish. Na tipong, prior to that, they had a good idea, but no one was paying attention. Why? Because the numbers didn't make sense.
So what do I have to have? What do I have to have? I'm curious about that. Let's just say I'm going to I have an idea, right? And I want to go to Ronin. I want to go to Mr. Laraya. What should I have first before I go to you? Should I be starting a business already? An idea only? I'm curious. What should I have first?
Number one is, dapat may nasimulan ka na. It cannot just be an idea. My first test kasi of any entrepreneur is, ikaw ba nagpasok ng pera? Many entrepreneurs kasi will say, hindi, wala nga akong pera, kaya nga naghahanap eh. If you really believe in it, you will find a way. That's the first test because if you cannot, kung ikaw mismo ngayon, kumbaga, you have a good idea but you cannot convince yourself na magpasok dyan. I mean, sell something. Diba? But you have to have your own skin in the game. That's the first thing that I would look at. Then second is, it cannot just be just one. And this is where, again, leadership comes in. It cannot be one person.
It has to be a team.
It has to be a team. You have to show me a team. Kasi hindi mo naman ito magagawa mag-isa eh. Wala namang talagang startup ngayon. Dati you could get away. But ngayon, with the competition for funding, investors look for teams. Because wala namang talagang perfectong entrepreneur. Everyone has a weakness.
But if it's a team, the weaknesses will be filled by the other teammates' strengths.
Yes. So, kasi sige, you're good. I've seen entrepreneurs who are fantastic. Ganda ng idea nila. Pero hindi nila ma-express.
Hindi ma elevator pitch.
Yes, exactly. Hindi sila confident. And if you're not confident, why should I be confident in you? Merong iba naman na maboka nga, pero ayaw gawin yung, sabihin natin, yung dirty, yung susulat.
Yung work.
Yung day-to-day dirty job, kumbaga. Gusto niya papogi lang.
Mhm.
Yung mga ganun. Diba na, sige, mamaya na yan. Hindi, kailangan gawin to ngayon. In fact, I saw one entrepreneur before. Sa akin yung idea niya, he had a fantastic idea. Lumapit sa akin. Sabi niya, may order na daw siya for a huge, he was producing this product. May order na siya from a
May
large
tie-up na.
Hindi na. May order kasi gusto niya yung produkto niya eh. Pero problema niya, wala daw siyang mabigay na resibo.
Kasi hindi pa pala talaga nakarehistro.
Hindi. Kasi yung attitude niya, hindi, tsaka na yan. Sayang pera, sayang oras, ito na muna. Ngayon, dumating yung opportunity.
Wala kang yan.
Wala. That company, as good as your product is, kung wala kang mabibigay na OR or kung ano man, hindi pa rin, wala rin. So he lost the opportunity. Bakit? Yun nga, yung day-to-day, ayaw niya. Sabi, later na lang, dito na muna, pe-perfectuhin ko muna yung produkto, maghahanap ako ng ganito, o nung nahanap na, nung handa na, ito na, babayaran na siya. As an OR, wala akong OR, sayang. Yung mga ganun eh. Someone has to take care of that. Tapos, syempre, merong mga taong magaling sa social media.
Mm-hmm. So, marketing, branding.
Di ba? Dapat may ganun. Wala namang negosyo ngayon na talagang pag wala kang social media man lang, paano ka makikilala? How will people know about you? Word of mouth is good, but it's so slow.
So word of TikTok na lang, word of Facebook, word of Instagram, word of every social media there is, then or kung nasan yung mata ng market mo, pwede.
And that has to be managed. Dati kasi basta maglagay sa Facebook, makikita ka na kasi konti lang tao sa Facebook. Ngayon sa Pilipinas, halos lahat ng Pilipino nasa Facebook yata eh.
Yes.
We're actually among either top 1 or top 2 user of Facebook every year.
The fact na merong mga loads sa ating mga cellphone provider or network providers very specific yung kanilang binibigay. For example, I have a
diba?
TikTok something very specific. Facebook
Instagram.
something very specific. Instagram Reels specific yung kanilang mga promos, di ba? The fact na meron silang ganun, isabihin very specific din na yung tao nanduron, yung mata nanduron.
So, if you want to stand out, syempre, hindi na pwedeng, kasi kung hindi maganda yung graphics mo, hindi maganda yung, hindi ka rin papansinin. Ang typical pina, how many things do they scroll through in their Facebook feed in a day?
And how long do they stay in one place, di ba? So, 2 seconds?
Ganun ka lang.
1 second daw.
Bakit ka hihinto, di ba? Diba? Paano makikita yon? Tapos syempre, mga Facebook ads, dati simple lang. Again, ngayon kailangan, di ba, i-select mo pa age, location,
demographics, yung mga hyper-targeting.
Hyper-targeting, Tapos syempre, may singil na lahat yan. Dati libre eh. Diba? So,
ano pa po?
the team is important.
And number 1 is, meron akong, I started already. Okay? I started already and I put my skin into the game. That's the first thing. Second is, I have to have a team. Right? So, yung kakulangan ng isa, mapupunan ng teammate mo. So, a group of people na iba-iba ang skill set. Hindi yung, pare-parehas kayong marketing specialist. Pare-parehas kayong, top dog entrepreneur. So, hindi pwede yun. So, baga, dun sa part na yun is, kailangan iba-iba din kayo. Ano pa po? From those first two. In order for you to accept me as a client ng Ronin.
Well, then you have to be willing to listen also. And that's the toughest part actually. Because ang entrepreneur, ang isang good and bad entrepreneur is stubborn eh. Diba? They don't change course. I mean, that's
alam ko na yung gagawin ko eh. Fix na yung utak ko before ko pa kita kinausap eh. So, bakit nung pumunta ako sa'yo, ba't kailangan baguhin ko kaagad? Diba? Ako nga yung gumagawa na nito. Ako yung I got my skin into the game eh. So, how would you convince a stubborn entrepreneur to actually listen?
Well, hindi naman kasi decision niya because it's his business eh. I just lay out the kumbaga, the consequences. So, you can do this. Ito pwedeng mangyari. You do this, ito pwedeng mangyari. Your business, your choice. So, and that brings you to the last, yung talagang, you know, they have to be willing to make a call. Hindi pwedeng, ikaw, ano sa tingin mo? No, you have to be willing
Decision
to,
maker.
end of day, and you mentioned nga, hindi pwedeng lahat superstar. Hindi talaga, dapat isa lang boss. One guy calls the shots. You can all argue. You will argue.
You can chip in. But the
But
decision
end of the day,
maker has to
someone
be
calls
the
the
one
shots
person.
and lives with it. And
Actually,
lives with it. Right or wrong, lives with it.
Mm-hmm.
Diba? Yun eh. Hindi pwedeng si ano, and you know, your ano will get mad at you. They will question you. But you make the call. It won't always be good. It won't always be right. But you have to be willing to make the call.
Okay, so i-recap ko yun ha. Kumbaga sa nanonood ngayon, kung sino mang interesado, let's say, meron na siyang idea, but then hindi pa siya nakakapag-umpisa talaga. Wala pang skin, hindi pa siya dumudugo, hindi pa siya nababalatan, hindi pa siya nagagalusan. Wag muna. You still have, kumbaga marami ka pang kakainin bigas. Pangalawa is, you have to have a team. Again, the skill set has to be different. One has to be top dog, and then iba has to be the one who, yung kakulangan nung isa ang nag-feel nung isa. That's the second one. The third one is you have to be willing to listen. You have to put your baba ka muna sa lupa. Humble yourself and makinig ka sa ibang taong maybe mas experiensyado na kaysa sa'yo. Kasi ako, para sa akin, alam ko, laging may mas magaling sa akin. So if you think that laging may mas magaling sa'yo, go ahead and ask the questions. Rule ko nga yun eh. It's always ask. Even if you think you know the answer, ask. Because there might be a different version of that right answer na hindi mo nalaman kung hindi mo inask. Diba? And the last thing is to be a decision maker, positive or negative man, ang nangyari is magagawa mo pa rin. And then, after that, talk to Mr. Laraya. Message him. Diba?
Usap tayo. Again, at the end of it naman, a lot of people naman, of course, they have a lot of questions. That's why nga, just recently, my company, Ronin, what we did was we actually conducted a contest we conducted a program, not a contest, a program alongside an LGU. We worked with the city government of Makati as well as the University of Makati. And what we did was we looked for ideas. And these are young people, and we picked
Still
8.
studying, no?
Still
studying. Or not?
So we picked 8, and these 8 startups, that were selected, we gave them all $500,000 pesos in equity-free funding to get started. So, and then 12 weeks, they're now actually on their 6th week on Monday, 12 weeks of mentoring. And after that, on the 13th or 14th week, they will now pitch to angel investors for more money. So, it's something that Ronin, in a sense, is pioneering. Kasi sa Pilipinas naman, maraming programs, yes, but we're the ones kasi na unang-una we're offering equity-free funding. In essence, we'll give you $500,000 pesos, get your idea started, but you have to work on it. So every week, we will check that you're actually working on your idea. Hindi yung nagbigay ka na idea, tapos kinuha mo lang yung kalahating milyon.
Tapos wala na.
Diba? And then at the end of this, you will now pitch to angel investors for more money. So,
And if they get one, what's the role of Ronin there?
no, kami yung nagtayo ng program. We're the ones who found the investors at the end. We're also the ones who, help.
Kung sino yung pagpipitcha nila, kayo po yung nag-set up, parang gano'n.
Yes, and kami yung nagtuturo. Actually, ako yung nagtuturo. Then, ang focus namin is on their financials because again, you're talking to finance people eh. Diba?
You have to give them the burn rate, you have to give them the capital, you have to know how to compute on yung kabuoang capital na nakuha mo or yung worth ng company mo. Kasi ako, nung nag-umpisa kami ng ano, I wanna shout out sa mga co-founders ko sa Hong Kong na it failed but I've learned so much. Lahat, alam niyo yun, lahat ng sinabi niyo, naiintindihan ko kasi napagdaanan ko lahat. Masakit, hanggang ngayon masakit siya. Baga parang nagbago buhay namin, umikot yung mundo namin dahil doon because of because it failed. Pero ang what I'm proud of is yung mga kasama ko doon, mga co-founders, although wala kami ng pera, parang magkakaibigan pa kami hanggang ngayon. So yun yung na sa tingin ko is undervalued yung relationship with your co-founders, with the people that you're starting up with, di ba?
Yes.
Solidify that relationship in order for parang maiwasan yung turuan, sisihan after. Although may sisisihin ka talaga. May sisisihin ka talaga. Which sa akin is ako may kasalanan nun. Ako may kasalanan, I'm at blame, pero hindi ko naramdaman yung they're pointing fingers at me na ikaw kasi ang may kasalanan eh. But then what I'm proud of is the relationship that we established, going up man yun or will it go up, will it go down, na-establish namin. So I want to know, Mr. Laraya, do you have that problem as well? And how were you able to?
Oo. I mean, with my co-founders din naman, we have disagreements. That's why it has to be always professional. Cannot be personal. Wala naman ako talagang nakikitang startup team na hindi nag-aaway at some point. Hindi naman away, na walang disagreement.
Aha.
Diba?
Hindi maaway yung susuntukan. Although merong ibang gano'n.
Hindi naman gano'n. Wala pa nakikita gano'n. In all honesty, there will always be differences in opinion. Always. I mean, pinakasimple lang eh. Do you spend money on marketing or on IT? The budget is limited. You can only spend for one of them. So ano unahin mo? May point naman para sa bawat isa, di ba? So how do you have to be able to settle that as a team. Those are the types of things na but going back nga to yung for someone who wants to lead a startup, babalik, you have to know what you don't know. You have to know what you're good at, and you really have to know what you're not good at. Like in my case, when I was starting Ronin, I knew what I was good at. I knew what I liked doing. I knew what I could do, but equally important, I knew what I could not do. Also, I knew the things that I did not want to do. So the partners I looked for,
are the people who want to do that.
yung pinunuan nila. I mean, just to give you an example. Yes, I work with finance. Yes, I'm comfortable with numbers. But I am not an accountant. I'm not an accountant. I understand accounting, but I don't have CPA after my name. So, naghanap ako ng CPA. Bakit? Because if I am going to examine, financial statements and all of those things, alam ko yung hangganan ng alam ko. And it helps pag may CPA ka, pag tumitingin ka ng financials, whether pro forma or whatever. So that was first. Second, since I'm dealing with startups, I also need a lawyer. Because depends sa industriya, may regulasyon eh. Kung magtatayo ka ng pagkain, ito regulasyon. Magtatayo ka ng ganito, iba regulasyon. So kumuha ako ng abogado. Diba? So it's things, I can study these things, yes.
But merong ceiling.
May ceiling pa din eh. And end of day, again, hindi ako attorney eh. Iba pa rin, pag nagbigay ng opinion, may pangalang, may titulong attorney.
Mas maniniwala ako, baga ako VC. Attorney nagsabi nun eh. So, naka-CPA yung nag-balance ng sheets eh, di ba?
So, that's what I'm saying, that you understand what you can and cannot do. Do I understand financial statements? Of course I do. But I'm not a CPA. Do I understand regulations? Of course I do. But I'm not a lawyer. So, my team, specifically, pinunuan yun. And then the last one was, I'm not really a person who enjoys going out. Hindi naman ako palalabas talaga, hindi ako palagimik. I really prefer staying home. But of course, when you're going to do business, someone has to do that.
The face of the company, kumbaga.
Exactly. That's why, I mean, it will surprise most people when I say this, but hindi ako CEO ng Ronin. Someone else is the CEO. Why? Because I know that person has skills that I do not, and for that job, is better at it. So, in a sense, it all just works together. Now, people ask, kala ko ba ikaw yung pasukin? Yeah, I headed it. But again, I understand where I'm strong and where I am weak. What I like doing and what I don't like doing. And if you are going to be the CEO, you have to be the face of the company, you have to socialize, you have to go out. These are things I no longer enjoy.
Maybe before, maybe. But
Before.
now, no. Yeah, I understand.
Now, no. At my age, at this age, hindi na. So, work with someone who enjoys it. Work with someone who is good at it. Diba? So, that's why Ronin is able to do a lot of these things. Kasi nga, we understand, the team understands what they can do.
Ang galing. I think that's the thing na hindi ko ginawa before. I think we needed maybe a lawyer as well. Pero kasi pinaday ng Hong Kong yung proseso ng pag-umpisa sa Hong Kong that it can be done. But I think doon ako nag-lack na maghanap ng mga tao na napupuno sa kaulangan ko. I thought napuno pero hindi pala. You know, I want to tell the story of our startup, pero I want to know the story of how you began. Of course, everything has a genesis, and I want to know what's with Ronin and how it started. Do you have maybe a good story or maybe a bad story about it? A unique one, if you want. If you have
It's
one.
a bit of both. It really was in 2018. Ronin was incorporated in 2018 because at that point I wanted to do something different. I just wanted to do something different because sometimes life is like that. You just want to try something.
You want to go up and down, right? If it's flat, it's flat line.
There is no, kumbaga, there is no super deep reason for it. Or I just wanted to do something different. I wanted to do something different. So, first thing I did nga was I went back to school in a way. Nag-aral ako. Because, learn something new nga eh. And the key takeaway nga in that program that I took was what I just told you, that, you have to have a team talaga. You have to have a team talaga. And, it gave me a way to identify. That's why, ito hindi, wala ako nito. So ito yung dapat kong punguhan. It gave me a system to be able to do that. And that's why I was able to look for specific people. Oh, I need a lawyer. I need a CPA. I need a person to be the face. So, na-identify. Because otherwise, mahirap maghanap pag hindi mo alam ano yung nahanap mo eh. Diba? And then
you had the humility to actually ask questions by going to a program to help you understand more of what you're going to get into, diba?
Yeah. So, and the thing was, of course, hindi naman yung unang tinanong mo pumayag agad. It took months then to find the right people. Because, there was a time of, man, did you have the time to actually do it? Are you willing to risk it? Diba? Because again, it's a startup. It might fail. So, yun yung and then, as a startup nga, we tried so many things. Actually nga, our business model has pivoted several times.
I'm interested in that because that's a shift. Yun yung gusto kong pikain Mr. Laraya. Yung mga shifts na ginawa nyo, why did you change it and what's the change that you did?
Well, unang-una was because malakas pa yung influence nga ng personal finance and all of that. We actually created an app. If you go to both Google and the Apple App Store, And you
I'm
look for
going now.
you look for the Ronin TVM app. Ronin TVM app, we created it.
TVM.
Yeah, time value of money. So we created an app, and what does it do? It's actually a financial literacy app.
Mm.
So it helps people figure out, stuff like retirement, education, estate taxation, all of these things. And we put it up, and we were actually number one in the Apple App Store for a while. So we reached number one after we launched it in 2020, right before the pandemic.
Uh-huh. Sakto?
Sakto. So we launched it na February, March, mga ganon. We were number one in April. Di ba May nag-quarantine na tayo noon, May 2020.
March 15 actually. March 15
March
ang
15 na.
lockdown na.
March, April, nag-quarantine na. So, and that was created kasi because I was still active giving talks then, and people were always asking naman. And sa Pilipinas kasi, it's hard to buy a financial product pag wala kang numero. That's why people don't get the right amount of insurance. They don't know how much to invest kasi walang numero eh. And behaviorally, what I've seen is a lot of people don't trust the numbers of the agent.
Yung sinabi nung kakausap mo.
Kasi feeling nila pinapataas kasi mas malaki komisyon pag mas mataas. So, ang kadalasan nangyayari is magkano na lang minimum. Which is wrong. Because you're shortchanging yourself. But yun nga, pag wala kang numero na pinagkakatiwalaan mo, how do you know how much to ask for? So we created an app that allows people to calculate that in under 30 seconds actually.
Wow. I'm excited kasi hindi ko pa mahanap eh. So mamaya gagawin ko din yan mamaya.
So that was something that we did, but because of the pandemic we had to pivot. Because that was contingent kasi in me going out teaching people how to use it.
Oh, you have to go out. Yeah.
Kasi yun yung setup namin dati. But the pandemic of course changed everything. So we had to shift. And when we shifted, so we decided, sige, let's put up online materials and stuff. So we created our own LMS naman, a learning management system. And then we started nga doing other things na din. Tapos doon ko nga nakita that, people were beginning to look for guidance for startups.
Oh,
Kasi
so hindi siya initially for
people
startup?
that were around, in the beginning, no.
Galing.
So we pivoted nga. Why? Because we saw an opportunity. Unang-una, we lost an opportunity because of the pandemic. And then, nakita, because of the pandemic, people came up with brilliant ideas. Diba?
Naglabasan ng mga
but all of those brilliant ideas needed money. And no one was teaching them how to do it. So, doon kami nag-pivot ngayon. So, we've now helped several startups raise funding in different industries. Just the most recent one was we helped one startup, may online app siya. They were able to raise over $500,000 to develop their app. So, yun yung bakit naman magtitiwala ng $250,000 di ba? Hindi pa nga tapos yung app eh. Because the numbers make sense. We ended up creating a program nga to help address yung gap nga that people with good ideas were not, kumbaga hindi sila magkaintindihan ng mga tao namang gustong magpondo. Because the thing is, there are a lot of people who do want to invest in startups. That's the thing. But they also get very, very, sabihin natin, naaasar. When people pitch and they don't know what they're doing. Case in point. Very often, kasi right now, I'm the chair of the screening committee for Manila Angel Investors Network. So what does that mean? So every week, I listen to up to about 6 startups asking for money. Different industries, different ano. So they're all looking for funding. So I listen to them. And then once a quarter, the top 3 that we've listened to in a quarter, we allow to pitch nga to investors. So,
Which you set up also.
no, I'm part of a group that does that. I'm part
I
of
see.
it.
Okay.
This is different. It's called Manila Angel Investors Network. So my point is this, and this is why this sort of concretized what Ronin does. Isipin mo may idea ka. May idea ka. And you ask for money. So you ask, I want $1 million or $500,000 because dollars usually mag-isip yung mga yan. So I want $1 million just as an ease of example. I want $1 million. Then when the investors ask, okay, you want $1 million, what are you offering? Di ba basic yun? Diba?
Kung nanonood ka Shark Tank, alam mo yung ibig sabihin nun.
Yun nga. And that's my problem. People watch Shark Tank and that's not reality. So anyway, so you ask for $1 million, tas tinanong ka, what are you offering in exchange? Basic, right? You're asking for something.
Bibigyan kita ng pera eh.
Di ba? Sasagutin ka na hindi alam.
Hindi ko alam kung ano ibebenta ko.
Exactly. Kasi ayaw niyang, natatakot siyang magbigay masyadong malaki because sayang ang company, yun nga eh. Ayaw niyang ano, so what are we doing here? You're wasting my time. No matter how much I like your idea, if you can't even tell me what you're offering in exchange for the money you're asking for, what are we going to talk about? Maraming ano ganun eh, hindi alam. Kasi natatakot if I give up too much of my company, nabasa ko dapat 20%. Ganito. So again, by the way, sige, are you offering it via equity? Are you offering it via convertible note? Ano yung magiging medium of exchange natin? Diba? What are the terms? So, if you don't know that, then you're wasting the investor's time.
So basically kayo yung daan para malaman nila kung paano nila gawin yun. Alam nyo, kasi ang nangyari, yung mga angel investors or mga VCs ay bihasa na sila eh. Alam mo yun, kaya nga sila angel investor eh. Before ka naman maging angel investor or before ka nag-VC parang inalam mo muna kung paano mo gawin yun. Tsaka syempre, basic stuff naman talaga yung ina-ask mo eh. Bibigyan kita ng pera, ano yung babalik sa akin?
Exactly.
Diba? Ano yung babalik sa akin? 10% ba? 5% ba? Equity ba? O yun nga, convertible loan ba siya? Hindi ba ako magkakaroon ng stake doon sa company mo? Takot na takot ka bang ibigay ko sa iyo yung idea kaya ayaw mo sabihin? Kaya kailangan pa ng NDA, di ba? So ano yung mga usual na sinasabi ninyo sa kanila na kumbaga 101? Ano yung 101? Ano yung kailangan mong alam sagutin? Burn rate? Ano ba?
Number
capital?
one, yun ang una. So, you want X million or X whatever. What are you willing to give up? You have to know that. Because kung hindi mo alam yan, o ano pag-uusapan natin? You can tell me, kumpleto naman sila. They have their burn rate, they have their projections, they have, their SAM, their serviceable addressable market, total addressable, all of those things. Kumpleto yan. Pero pag tinanong mo, sige, ano ino-offer mo? Blanco.
Gusto ko magbigay lang ka ng pera sa akin.
Exactly. So, yun yung dapat eh. Because pag hindi mo alam yun, what are we talking about? Sige, sabihin mo 20%. Then you have to really ask yourself, you're asking for $1 million for 10% of your company. So you're telling me right now, your company is worth 500 million pesos na wala pang kliyente. Saan mo napulot yun?
Gusto ko lang.
Pwede, but again, you have to be able to defend it.
Well, with the projections and the all the things that you
Oo.
the finances na back up mo.
Oh. But yun nga yung 10%, sasabihin na hindi ko alam. So, where are we going to go with that? Many founders doon talaga sumisemplang. Ang ganda na ng idea, ang ganda na ng opportunity. Pag tinanong mo, sige, what are you offering in exchange? Hindi alam.
All except that, no?
And to me, that's the most important because it's a transaction. No matter how good your idea is. Kung
Yun ang
masyadong
magpapayas sa kanila eh. Yun yung magpapayas sa kanila. Okay. With that, okay. I'll get that for 5%.
diba? Kasi, what they also have to understand is, ang mali din is, hindi nila makita yung point of view. Na pag ako, venture capitalist ako, lalo pag angel investor, pag binigyan kita ng piso, dapat ang babalik sa akin, 3 piso.
Hindi pa rin piso rin. Ano yun?
Pwede. 3 piso. At least. That's how angel investing works. 3 to 5 times at least dapat babalik sa akin. So pag nag-project ka dyan,
ibawas mo na yung
sa akin, kung paano mo ibabalik, yung pisong ibibigay ko sa'yo, magiging 3 piso at may babalik mo sa akin. Yeah, because many founders just focus on the now. Oh, my company is worth 1 million for 10%, so it's worth $10 million, worth 500 million. Fine, I will accept your 500 million. How do you make that 500 million 1.5 billion? Kasi yung 500 million lang yun, parang babalik lang piso sa akin.
So kailangan mong, kung anong projection mo, i-adjust mo sa kanya yung percentage na makukuha niya.
Oo. Right. And again, that's what many, kasi isipin lang, I'm asking for 1 million, ganito, gano'n. Ano yung magiging 5 million? In 3 to 5 years or whatever, kung ano man yung timeline mo. Because yun naman ang interest ko eh. Hindi lang balik pera, I need multiples.
Parang ano, no?
That, hindi yan 10%, 20% a year, no. Hindi yung 10-20% a year.
Ano yun, loan? Hindi, it's the ownership of that the equity of that company.
Some people will say, sige utang na lang. Sige utang na lang. Paano mo babayaran? Anong cash flow mo?
Wala pa.
Wala pa eh.
So, stage pa lang eh. Alam nyo, nagiging sa mindset, kapag ka milyon-milyon pag-uusapan, ang hirap mag-decide. Pero pag sinabi mong piso lang na magiging 3 piso, naintindihan ka agad. Kasi ang dali ibigay ng 3 piso sa pisong binigay eh. Pero ang hirap ibigay ng 3 milyon sa 1 million na ibinigay. Right? Dollars man o pesos yun, di ba? So, you just have to simplify. Alam nyo, kailangan nga, actually talaga totoo, maraming hindi pa marunong, so kailangan magkaroon ng lugar para pag-aralan kung paano gagawin yon para mag-connect yung customer technically tsaka sa bumibili at yung nagbebenta, di ba? So, simple lang siya, pero maraming hindi pa nakakaalam. Kaya parang para sa akin, kailangan tong ma-show sa mga tao para magkaroon ng kaliwanagan ang mga tao sa venture capitalism, sa angel investing, lalong-lalo na on the side nung startup. Kasi nangyayari, inaaral natin yung, ganun pala yung angel investing. Ganun pala yung VC. Pag may pera na ako, ganun ang gagawin ko. Ibang tao ang gagawa, ako yung magbibigay ng pera. Diba? Kasi yun yung utak natin eh. Alam nyo, sa mga OFW mindset, ganun eh. Alam mo, may pera. Kasi alam mo, magandang pag-invest na dyan sa Pilipinas. May pera ako eh, may naipon na ako, alam mo, magandang pag-invest na dyan. Pero kayo gagawa kasi nasa ibang bansa pa ako eh. Technically, yun ang mga angel investors saka mga mga VCs eh. Which is, walang problema. Pero ang nangyayari, wala yung side ng startup. Yung mismong OFW na yon umuwi, nag-ipon siya ng maraming pera. Pagpunta siya sa Pilipinas, sabi niya, marami na akong pera. Gusto ko sana palakihin to. Hahanap sana ako ng angel investor din. Hahanap siya ng kapwa niya OFW yung mas malaki yung pera or mas malaki na papasok buwan-buwan. And then mag-angel investing, hahanap siya ng investor. Pero hindi niya alam kung paano sabihin din. So technically, parang ganun din siya eh. Gusto ko lang i-relate sa mga nanonood dito na mga OFW na yung sinasabi ni Sir Laraya is same ng mindset ng naiisip ninyo. Either kayo yung nag-ipon na gusto nyo ibigay yung pera sa ibang tao sila gagawa or kayo yung gagawa. Pero ang problema, yung pangungusap niyo dalawa, parang iba kayong language eh, di ba? Iba yung sinasabi mo, yung sinasabi niya. Ang role ng Ronin is to connect those languages at magkaintindihan sila.
Kasi sayang opportunity eh. Because marami naman talagang gustong mangapitan. There are a lot of people with money who are looking for ways to grow money. Yes, there are people with fantastic ideas. Pero tama-tama sinabi mo, hindi nagkakaintindihan kung ano ba ang expectation ng bawat isa eh. Diba? On the part of the startup, syempre, basta bigay mo lang yung pera, ganito yan, papatakbuhin ko yan, tapos ano na lang. But there has to be clarity because it's other people's money. So, sino ang mag-o-audit niyan? Diba? Marami din kasi, nabigay na yung pera, biglang, saan napunta? Ay, hindi ko, basta, tiwala ka na lang, ganito. Hindi pwede
trust
ganon.
system.
Hindi na pwedeng ganon. Once you start asking for other people's money, hindi na pwedeng ganon. Hindi na pwedeng, sige, tiwala lang. Hindi pwedeng ganon. Diba? Dapat may titingin ng libro. At hindi ka, kung ikaw yung may-ari, hindi mo dapat personalin pag hiningi yung libro.
Hindi siya attack sa personality mo.
Kasi meron ka, bakit wala kang tiwala sa akin kaya mo hinihingi yung libro? Bakit akala mo nanakawang kita? Hindi.
Defensive?
Oo. Hindi ganon. I'm just exercising my right to find out what you did with the money I gave you. Yung iba nga, nape-personal pag ganon eh. Parang personal attack na, hindi, wala kang tiwala sa akin. Akala mo nanakawang kita, no? Ganon. So, that has to be managed also. Now, it also means that on the side mo ng investor, hindi porke naman nagbigay ka ng pera, ay pwede ka makialam sa lahat ng bagay.
Lalo na yung operations, no?
May ganon. Diba? May limitasyon. Hindi porke nagbigay ka ng pera, kahit gano'n pa yan, doesn't mean automatically, lalo na sa startup, doesn't mean automatically pwede ka makialam sa lahat ng bagay.
Unless specified otherwise, di ba? Parang, mag-startup ako, pero ang may contribute ko as an investor is on your distribution part. Di ba? Pwede yun. Pero,
talking yung base case na, eto pera, para sa negosyo, it gives you certain rights, but those rights all have limits.
Yes.
Diba? And both sides have to understand what those limits are. Especially nga, if you only own 5% of the company, if the amount of money you give only 5% of the company, you're not even entitled to a board seat in many instances. So hindi ka talaga pwede makialam. Hindi, may vote ka, but kasi you have shares. Wala ka lang board seat. Diba? So hindi ka rin pwedeng mag-decision, dapat ito yung supplier na kukunin mo. Tapos, i-hire mo naman yung kamag-anak ko kasi nagbigay ako ng pera sa'yo. Hindi naman pwedeng ganon. Because I've seen cases like that. Binigyan ko pera. Now you have to hire my relative kasi nag-invest ako sa'yo.
Kaya nga ako binigay yan kasi para dun
So, gugulo usapan pag ganon. So there are limitations on both parties and they have to understand those clearly.
At wala ding personalan, di ba? Na parang, pag naghanap ako, kailangan mong ibigay, kailangan nakasulat, kailangan may kontrata, kailangan nakalagay yung limitations, kailangan, kung meron kang gustong ilagay dun sa usapan, edi ilagay mo na. Baga, ang may clause na i-hire mo yung relatives ko. And pumayag yung isa, then okay. Pero kung hindi, di ba?
Oo.
Galing. So, you have to know what you are going into, di ba? And then you have to understand the language na sinasabi ng isa. Alam niyo, parang Ronin ay nagiging parang mentor ng isang startup na gusto niyang mag-grow talaga ng bigger di ba? Pero I'm curious, personal na to. Ito, personalin ko kayo, Sir Aya. Meron ba kayong certain someone ay na-idea, a book na in a way nag-mentor din sa inyo on how to travel this
Well, over the years naman, not really book, but basically the people I've worked with, my former bosses, yun yung mga nagturo din sa akin. Specifically, and a lot of people know this naman, ang una kong trabaho talaga from 1989 up to 2007. Actually, up to 2010. Up to 2010 actually.
Tagal.
Ang trabaho ko dati, dakilang alalay ako ng isa sa mga Ortigas So, that's why I learned banking, I learned stock market, mutual funds, real estate, forex, fixed income, because my former boss had businesses in all of those, and I had to understand all of those.
It's part of your job, kumbaga.
Yeah, it's part of my job. So it really equipped me in a way that will be very hard to duplicate. Kasi, most people will go into one, two, three industries. I've been in one. So there's banking, there's real estate, there's stock market, there's mutual funds, there's property management. 6, 7, there's startups, there's insurance, both life and non-life. So yun yung naging massive influence, because what that showed me was that there is no one solution to everything.
Mm-hmm.
Which if I were just, let's say, nothing niya, sabihin natin kung yung mundo ko ay stock market lang, then stock market lang ang pwedeng isagot sa lahat ng tanong sa akin.
Mm.
Kung real estate naman lang yung mundo ko, then real estate ang sasagot ko tuwing may itatanong sa akin. Kasi yun ang alam ko eh. So, yun yung naging malaking influence talaga. Because then I saw that in finance, there is no one product or industry that can solve everything. They all have their strengths and weaknesses. Actually, kaya nga Ronnie ng kaya saan ba yun?
Yeah.
Kaya naman Ronnie ng...
Yeah. What's in the name?
It's because, we're not really tied to any one big financial institution or entity. We're independent. So, especially when we give financial advice, I don't tell you something is good or bad because I'm getting a commission. So, that's something na, kasi Ronin are masterless eh, diba? Walang amo.
Yeah.
And that's our philosophy. When it comes to giving advice, we give the advice. We don't really, favor one side or the other.
That's why Ronin. Nice. Ang galing.
That's why Ronin.
Yeah. Gusto kong pagaanin ng konti, Mr. Laraya, kasi nasabi niyo kanina yung pivot niyo when the pandemic started. Do you have any pandemic vice that started? Anything you watched na binge or something like that?
No, even prior to pandemic naman, pero talagang na ano din is, I'm a massive gamer. I play computer games. My ambisyo ko Steam.
I'm not a gamer, pero nagkaroon kayo ng time na ng pandemic at you took advantage of it.
Hindi nagkaroon, nadagdagan because I've always had time.
Yeah.
I've always had time. So, yun naman talagang it's just that it became easier to play because kumbaga yung oras na nasa traffic ka dati, naglalaro na lang ako sa bahay.
Naidagdag yun sa oras no? Yung travel time na 1 hour or 2 hours before, 2 hours pabalik, 4 hours of extra gaming time.
Yeah. That was pretty much it. And I really game talaga. Yun yung ano ko eh. That's how I relax and that's how I think.
It's parang ano din eh. It's a sharpen din ng ano eh, no? Sharpen din ng mind siya eh. It's all about the tactics. But are there any future plans or what's the future of Ronin? What's the future of Mr. Laraya? We talked about the past and the present and what's in store for us?
Well, one of the things that Ronin does din kasi is when we mentor or when we work with a startup, quite often, syempre, the startup says, we don't have a lot of money, we can't pay you, all of those things. So what we do is we accept equity in the startup. So that way, when the startup succeeds, we're also part of the success. So hopefully what we wish is we're able to launch a lot of startups within the next couple of years and then exit. Be able to sell the startup because several of them, when we talk to them, okay, paano mag-IPO? How do we plan for an IPO? So that's something we can help them because we do know the requirements for a startup to list. We know the process. But that takes years of preparation. You can't say talaga na, mag-ano ko this year, mag-list na ako this. That takes years to prepare. So, and you can't just do that fast.
So
Yun
you
yung
went to the route of
hope.
exiting.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So, gusto nila mag-exit because yun din nga eh. Again, one of the things then that medyo kulang is pag nagpi-pitch, sige, paano ko makukuha ulit pera? Do you plan to be acquired? Do you plan to list? Because, yeah, I
What's
invest.
the end, no? Begin with the
Oo.
end in mind, di ba? So, what's the end of this journey, di ba? Parang yun ang sinasabi niya.
So, these are the things that in the beginning, they may not be aware that they already need. Because lalo pag angel investors really do not expect to stay for the long run. They'll invest, then they will also exit early, then move to the next one. Ganun naman ang style ng karamihan sa ganyan. So you have to give them that opportunity. So when can they exit? 3 years, 4 years? They're not willing to wait 10 years to be able to exit. They're not going to be there long term in many instances. So how do they exit? You have to start thinking of that also.
And that's what you are trying to do moving
Yes.
forward.
Yes.
Oh,
Sige, so we have these nice startups. Sige, we'll take a small ownership stake. Now let's work on being able to exit.
To being acquired. Oh, galing.
Being able to exit and then rinse and repeat the process. Then may pumasok, invest ulit ng bagong startup. Pag lumaki, benta ulit, lapas ulit. Ganun at ganun.
Ang galing na. Alam niyo yung mga, ito yung tipong dapat malaman na ng, alam mo yun, kahit madla, kasi may ibang tao, lumabas yung creativity nila ngayon. So, usually, ang route nila is to the content creation. Which is, ang dami talagang creative.
Yes.
Right? Ang dami talagang creative. Which is, pwede mong, minsan nga, pag nakakita ko, business yun na. It's a business you can actually do. There's something, there's a seedling na namumuo dyan sa mga content na ginagawa nila. Is there any plans naman kayo din na maging, nung nagkaroon ng pandemic, they're into the content creation. Kayo, wala ba? Baka gusto nyo i-stream yung stream yung gaming nyo or with the startups that you do with Ronin? Is there any way is there a plan to actually spread it out to...
I prefer nga to work with startups na not really yung Ronin mismo in a sense. So, we'll see. Right now nga, we're busy just getting this business nga really established. We are a startup ourselves. We're barely over 2 years at this point. 3 years na at this point. So we just want to manage expectations then.
And actually, you just want to help other people to be startups themselves, di ba? Parang gano'n na. Kuya ako, you just want, they want a guidance, di ba? Parang big brother siya. Yeah. Ang galing. Meron bang question, Sir Aya, na expected yung tanongin ko, pero hindi ko natanong?
Wala naman.
Alright, last question, Mr. Aya. I want to keep you here. I want to know if there's any story, unique one, that you can tell the audience about your road to the Ronin experience.
Well, I guess the only thing is it was not smooth. It wasn't straight. It wasn't smooth. There were a lot of pivots. There are a lot of U-turns along the way. But to me, as long as you can learn something then from an experience, no matter how bad it can be, then it wasn't a total loss. Kasi, not everything naman that we've done worked. The app was good for a while, then it wasn't. So now we have to look for something new. And I think the last thing, especially at my age, is we should always be willing to learn something new from weird places. And just because someone is young doesn't mean they don't have anything to teach.
So you still you still want to learn sa lahat, no matter the age, no matter the stature, di ba? Galing. We've come to the end of to the close of this show, and the shifts that Mr. Laraya gave us. I hope you learned something. And is there any last message or any word of advice to the audience before you go?
Same lang naman since pesos and cents days. Whether it's a startup, a stock, a mutual fund, or whatever it is, bago maglagay ng pera, talagang aral muna bago invest. Yun at yun lang.
Very
Ayan.
classic.
Diba? Kahit ano pa yan. I mean, the instrument may change. Diba? O ngayon, usong-uso, NFT, crypto, and I'm sure in a few years, there will be something new. But the principle is still the same. May kumikita naman talaga sa NFT, may kumikita naman talaga sa crypto. Pinag-aralan ba o tsumamba?
Can't go wrong with that classic advice that aral muna bago invest. And this has been JP Adena, host of LeaderSHIFT, and again, Mr. Aya Laraya.
Good
See you next
evening and good night. Bye.